we'll start on the gun stuff. So, you said? Okay. All right, so I think what got us going here is these very high-profile mass shootings, like the hookah lounge, like the party on Fifth Street, and for the average person, you can see yourself just driving along and get caught in the middle of that. What's driving that compared to the gun violence we're more used to seeing?
Yeah, I think that's $1 million question. What is driving young males to shoot volleys of gunfire at each other that we haven't seen, and that's unusual. And that was unusual before George Floyd, and what post George Floyd world, post COVID, what we're seeing across the country are automatic firearms, guns that are modified, that have high capacity round magazines, and what that translates into is volleys of gunfire that can exceed well over 100 rounds fired in seconds, if not minutes. And that's what you're referring to, what we saw at the hookah lounge and on the Fifth Street shooting.
Why do you think George Floyd is kind of a dividing line?
I think the country just shifted. It's hard to separate the murder of George Floyd and COVID all at the same time. But what we know is moving forward from 2021, moving forward, is spontaneous violence changed in this country, and the level of rounds fired at these types of incidents also increased. Again, not unique to Arizona, not unique to Tucson, but across the country.
Well, is the COVID factor kind of like people just lost the ability to get along with each other which was already kind of out the window? But
you'd probably have to ask some really smart people at the University of Arizona who study anthropology and different types of human behavior on what exactly drove. What I can just tell you is what we're seeing and what we're feeling and what we're experiencing out on the streets. And I think it's not it's not unusual for all of us driving into work to see somebody who's driving more aggressive than we'd see before, or you accidentally cut someone off and suddenly they're, what used to be a honk and like, hey, pay attention, is now turning into somebody who's trying to get you to pull over so you can further that conflict. What's driving that behavior? We'd have to talk to some deep psychologists to know that, but we are seeing those trends.
Now, what would you say the profile of these people are? I mean, you talked about them as young men. How young are we talking about?
14 years old. So our last homicide on September 12th down at Oak Tree in Valencia, both the victim and suspects, who are now both in custody, are all juveniles.
Now, is it fair to say that for the average person going about their life, you could find yourself in the middle of this, where before a lot of gun violence might be two people kind of off in their own little pocket of society?
So I would say it was unusual for a homicide to occur like it's just experienced on September 12th at about 9 o'clock in the morning. That's unusual. Yes, you could be caught in the middle of that, and we certainly need to be aware of our surroundings, which is very disappointing for me as chief to say that. What I would say is when we look at the averages of when violent crimes occurring and when gun crimes occurring, it is in the later hours of the night. So if you're home by 10, you're not selling drugs, you're not looking to rob someone, and you don't get involved in a road rage type incident, your potential of being victim of a violent crime is pretty low in Tucson.
Now, how are guys this young getting any kind of weapon, or particularly high capacity weapons, maybe weapons that have been, are some modified to go full auto?
Yes. Yeah, so 3D printing has changed the landscape of modifying guns. People can now print with software downloaded from the internet, devices that can make a Glock handgun or any other handgun an automatic firearm. So that, in conjunction with high capacity magazines, makes it scary. It makes it scary for the community and for the officers that are out there trying to keep the streets safe. So you're asking, how do they find the guns? Well, it's a combination. Some of these guns are stolen. Some of these guns are their family members. Some of them, we are now tracking through our public safety partnership. I want to continue to champion that. We do have strategies in place. We are committed to evidence-based strategies. We are traveling the country to see what other major cities are doing and how they're combating violent crime in their community. And so we have. I don't want to get too deep into the technology that we're using, because the shell casings play a role. So when we collect the shell casings, we are now tracking those shell casings across the city, just like we would track people. And we might start connecting groups. But these guns, what I can tell you, and I can tell the community, change hands frequently. So if they're used at a shooting tonight, it's highly probable in the days or weeks to follow that gun is going to start changing hands in the community.
Do you have the impression at all that this is a relatively small group that's just been very active?
I do. It is historically proven that it's a small population of individuals that are creating most of the havoc in the community, and I think that's True to some degree in Tucson. We have to remember, we're not the sleepy old Pueblo. We're not a boutique community. We're the 33rd largest city in this country. We have 250 square miles. And so our crimes are complex, and we do have active gangs in our community. So there's a gang component, there's a drug component, there's a robbery component, there's domestic violence. And so when we really dissect why homicides are happening and why violent crimes happening, we get granular when we start looking at that data.
How do you counter these guys? And at the age you're describing, it's like very few teenagers of that age have much in the way of self-control or breaks, mental breaks.
Well, we know the human brain in a male isn't developed until you're after, you're 25 years old. And so when you're putting guns in the hands of 13 and 14-year-olds, through in their early 20s, they're absolutely making decisions before their brain can process what the impact of those decisions will be. And we've seen that play out. Let's talk about the shooting at the Hookah Lounge, in the vicinity of the Hookah Lounge at Speedway and Swan. Nearly 200 rounds were fired at that in about a minute. An officer was right down the street on a traffic stop. That officer's lights were visible, and he had just drove through that area. So the individuals who chose to shoot and engage in a gunfight there were aware that police were in the area. So that's a level of boldness that we haven't seen before.
Now, how do you counter this, and does that lack of rational thought help you in some way?
So I think it's complex. These are always hard conversations to have in a 3-minute clip that for mainstream media. There's a lot of things that go into this. First of all, who's raising these kids? Why are juveniles out past midnight? Why are they out past curfew? Why do they have guns in their hands? Whose cars are they in? We need people to be accountable to the children that they're raising. That's one. Two is education. If most of these kids that are involved are struggling in school, are not going to school, and so there's we're gonna talk in a minute about school shootings and school safety, but all of these things start tying into each other. Accountability. What does accountability look like? We have to look at why are people being arrested multiple times for prohibited possessor charges and being let out or being provided probation. We have to dissect that. We have to further dive into that, and that's another office for you to talk to about that. We have to look at the decisions that pretrial judges are making in initial hearings. We have to look at the decisions that the judges are hearing when they plead the cases. All these things go in together and make for a really complex conversation that we fortunately get to be the face of, Tucson Police Department, because we are the largest police organization in this area, and we are the ones responsible for really tackling this violent crime. So when we look at how to dissect that, we have to take a holistic approach. Community violence interruption is in my opinion going to be a game changer, which we've launched in this community. And what that means is we have to start looking at violent crime as any other health pandemic in a community. And that means we have resources from the community that are going in to work with Banner UMC. So when we have a trauma victim come in, it's not the police department going in to talk to these individuals who likely won't tell us who shot them. But although there is a criminal investigation that occurs, we have other resources that are going in to figure out what's driving the behaviors. Why are individuals out there at 2 o'clock in the morning with these guns, with high volume magazines, and involved in violent crime?
Can you shut down some of the collection points like these lounges, or do they have a legal right to operate and it's hard to interfere with?
Well, we're going to be talking about that September 25th at Mayor and Council. I am going to be calling for some additional accountability to the hookah lounges. There's a reason that bars close at 2 a.m. and we want people to go home. The day's over. Stop partying, go home, recalibrate, get ready for the day ahead. And so what we are seeing specifically related to the hookah lounges is activity from midnight on, where we're seeing these increased levels of violence. And the reality is we're just not staffed for that as well. So we have to think about the staffing model that we have at the police department too, and what we're capable of handling at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Now, not all that long ago, we were talking about other gun violence programs from the department where you felt like you're making pretty good progress. Can those be expanded, or you got to come up with something different for this?
So what I would tell our community is we track data daily, weekly, monthly, on an annual basis, and we compare everything in between up to a 5-year snapshot. In 2021, we had a record-setting 86 homicides. In 2023, we had 58. Today, we sit at 42, and we were at 41 year to date. I want to emphasize every one of those is a human being. every one of those is an impacted family. There's an impact to a victim, and there's an impact to a suspect's family, right? So when we think about this, I'll never be satisfied with getting homicides down to 30. It'll be a new low number. I'm not going to commit to a number like that because every homicide matters, and I always look at every homicide as, was this preventable, and could we have done something to prevent that from happening? And I challenge the community to look at it the same way. We're predominantly, the victims and the suspects of these gun violence are young black and brown men who are overrepresented in our community as victims and suspects in these crimes. So the community has to rally around our youth and decide and figure out collectively why these young men are out there, and why these young men have guns in their hands, and why these young men continue to be the victims and suspects of these crimes.
Now, we've got these high-profile, really grab your attention incidents. Is most gun violence still more the lower profile, one or two people versus each other?
It does tend to still be a spontaneous act of violence, or some type of conflict that occurred previously in two individuals who have now elevated that conflict to a lethal encounter. So today we're sitting at 129 non-fatal skin-piercing gun incidents, and we were sitting at 102. So that's 26% increase year to date. Now that's a fairly a new data point for us because we're not required to track data by the federal government that granular, but we are here so we can really fully understand the impact of the face of gun crime in our community. So a year ago, our solve rate on non-fatal shootings was about 22%. The average solve rate for this country for a homicide is at 52%. Our average is just under 90%. In a year, through the public safety partnership team and the collaboration that we have with other police organizations coming in and looking at the way that we deploy and we investigate gun crime, we've increased that to 62% solvency rate. So now our non-fatal skin-piercing shooting incidents have a higher clearance rate than the national average for homicide solvency rate. So what does that mean? It means we have community that's engaged and does not want to tolerate violent crime in our community, and they're working with us to solve these crimes. You know, we have great organizations like 88 Crime who are helping us solve and provide a safe space for people to bring information forward that don't want to get involved and want to be anonymous. But it also means we have fantastic detectives who are committed and patrol officers who are committed every day and going out there and making sure that we have the safest community possible.
Now, these kids were very young in these sort of really aberrations from the norm of gun violence. Is it harder to kind of tap in and gather intelligence on them and get an idea of when something's might happen?
Well, I think, it goes back into an earlier question you asked me is, post 2021 moving forward, I mean, the evolution of social media has changed things. We don't have gangs that sit on street corners anymore like we used to, that own a block of Tucson or try to own a block of Tucson, and they're moving drugs and prostitution and other criminal activities. What we have are social media-based groups, sometimes that rise to the level of a gang classification, that are involved in some of those criminal behaviors, or just frankly having conflict with each other.
So are some of these large conflicts pre-planned?
I would say that for the most part, they're not. For the most part, we have factions or groups or individuals who have conflict and spontaneously run into each other, and they choose to engage in a gunfight. But but it's everything in between, Craig, too, as well. Like we talked about, we had 13 homicides last year that were domestic violence related. So again, what I would say to the community is, if you have a family member that is engaged or as the aggressor or a victim of domestic violence, that's a preventable crime. Right? And everybody around, when we have most of the victims of domestic violence are not surprised or they're not shocked when somebody's life is taken, because they knew that there was this aggressive behavior was increasing and there was this horrible outcome. So again, how do we help the community where you have loved ones that are involved in those relationships that can seek treatment and counseling to prevent and break that cycle? That's 13 less homicides that we could have in 1 year.
So there's your preventable element.
Correct. We had 13 homicides last year that involved juveniles. Again, juveniles being home before curfew would eliminate another 13. So then we'd have 26 less homicides that were preventable last year, just between managing juvenile behavior and domestic violence.
If they're obtaining guns that are, say, already in their homes, does that suggest they're grown up in a culture where folks have guns, and in some cases, folks abuse guns to settle scores.
Yeah, I think that plays into the complications of accessibility. We have over 1,000 guns, around 1,000 guns a year that are stolen out of unsecured vehicles. That's preventable. Lock your gun up. Let's not debate about gun ownership. Let's just talk about responsible gun ownership. If you have a gun and you want to leave it in your car, you need to have a gun safe in your car. If you have a gun in your house, I would highly recommend that you also have a safe or a safe place to secure that gun in the house. If we just eliminated the preventable guns that were stolen from burglaries and houses, burglaries and vehicles, again, those would be less accessible guns on the streets. These juveniles are not going into gun stores and buying guns.
What I'm driving at is that these children, basically, may be growing up in a household where folks regard guns as a standard part of conflict settlement.
That's certainly possible, and there's certainly some, a few cases I can think of that folks who grow up in a family that have many gang members within that family, and that becomes a culture of violence or a culture of accessibility of resolution, like you said. I think there's also a lot of gun owners in town who are responsible and have teach their children to be to be safe around them, and I would also say that's a call to action is. For the parents, it's okay to ask when your child is going to have a sleepover at somebody else's house, are there guns in your house? And that's a safe question. And if they say yes, you can ask, are they secured? And if the answer is yes to number one and no to number two, I would suggest that your child doesn't have a sleepover at that house.
I was struck by I guess you could say, the level of determination in some of these. And I know you probably can't comment too much on cases that are still open, but the Fifth Street party, the interim complaint and reports on one of the guys talked about, I guess you could almost call it a thoroughness, that these folks wanted to be sure that they had shot at the people they wanted to shoot at, and they were waiting around to be sure.
That was certainly a tragic case, and so I think that what we can highlight for the community there is when you hear the loud parties, call us. Call 911, get them reported. Those are a priority for us because, again, I see that as a preventable outcome. Yes, we're thin on resources, but we do know that loud parties can turn into sources of attracting, because of social media. What used to be 100 kids showing up can now be 600 folks showing up that you don't know, and that's again where that conflict arises. And so the days of just having block parties and house parties are over, and we want to get on top of those things. We've also made some changes with the way that we respond to calls for service in some of our resources. So we've expanded our plainclothes unit we call Community Response Team. So we have 7-day-a-week coverage. So whether it's street racing, it's loud party calls, there's violent crime initiatives, we have an additional set of resources that are out there now to focus on those types of investigations.
How is their approach different from when a uniformed officer may appear in a marked car?
Sure. So they can do both. So our community response team officers can be undercover one day and they can be in a uniform the next day, and that's a really valuable resource for us to have. They are the tip of the spear of reducing violent crime in our community. So what we did is we dropped one of our patrol squads in July, which was not a lot, with a little bit of pain and suffering and teeth smashing. But we're taking a leap of faith here and recognizing that we're at a point where we need 7-day-a-week coverage so we can balance the workload of our existing community response team officers. And the ultimate goal, Craig, is we don't get ahead by responding to calls for service. The crime has occurred, we're being reactive at that point. So the way we're going to get on top of crime and continue to have results in our community is through proactive interventions. And that might not always be just the police department.
Now, in various answers, we've talked a little bit about what the public can do. Let's try to sum that up in one piece. As members of the public, what can I do to maybe reduce the problem and improve my safety?
Number one, the best thing is don't engage in any kind of road rage or conflict. If somebody's choosing to try to have conflict with you that you don't know, turn around and go the other way. You have the choice to turn around and go the other way. Whether you're walking in and out of a store or you're driving somewhere, turn around, go the other way. That's number one. Number two, call to action. Have your the young people in your life, whether they're juveniles or they're under 25, nothing really good comes of being out past midnight. Unless you're working and you have a job. Yes, we have great restaurants and bars and establishments. If you're out at those, at 2 a.m. it's time to go home. The after parties is where we're seeing a lot of this increased violence occur, and that's preventable as well. And the other one, like we talked about, is safe gun ownership, making sure that your guns are secured, you know where they're at, and that your children don't have access to those.
I think that's going to do it on this topic. Is there anything you feel like you just want to add? Something we didn't touch upon you want to talk about?
What do you think? Yeah, I would tell Tucson again in the community and their confidence in local government and this police department, me as chief, is that we have deployed the best strategies in the country, in this town, and they are having an impact. But when we look at something as complex as gun crime and violent crime in our community, it's like treating a serious cancer. You don't go into an oncologist and come out once you find out from your primary. They don't lay out a foolproof plan that's step 1 through 10 that's going to work. You start out with the strategy and you start treating the patient, and then you make adjustments as you see how the patient's responding. Impacting in violent crime in this community is no different. We also have to understand that poverty is a driver for violent crime in this community. When folks don't feel like they have opportunity, they don't have jobs, they don't have meaning in their life, or people in their life to guide them in the right direction, they start heading towards undesired outcomes where people who don't have their best interest in mind. And so this is an all hands on deck. This is absolutely solvable. We could have far less violent crime in this community, but it's going to take us all making that a priority.